Hi, it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. It's letter of the week time. This is where we choose random letters from the alphabet and use those random letters to inspire us with different ideas for our junk journals that we might not otherwise think about. It's time for the letter C. This is what we chose last week, and I knew actually right away what I wanted to do with this. It's inspired by my friend Connie, whose name starts with C. But we're going to be using cupcake papers, cupcake liners. And I bet you have some of these in your baking drawer. If not, they're easily had at the grocery store. These, did I get these from IKEA? I don't know, but they've been, we don't make a whole lot of cupcakes around the house, but I did have some liners that I've had for a while. So I am going to set the letter C aside here and put that in with my other letter of the week stuff. And we're going to make some little pockets out of these cupcake papers. Connie sent me a picture of one that one of her friends had made out of a cupcake holder. It was actually a little envelope. I started playing with it a little bit, and for me, I think I'm going to do one less step on it and use it for pockets. So let's go ahead and do that. And I think you'll have fun using some cupcake liners. I wanted to use, this is a paper from an old wedding album that I got at a thrift store with Connie when I was visiting her some months ago. And I think I'm going to, because these are small, they're going to make kind of small pockets. I thought I would make a pair of them, do two of them on a junk journal page. But I want to put a little, I want there to be contrast. So I like this, this paper that I got with Connie. It's sort of like almost like a handmade paper. I'm going to put some stenciling down here first and provide some background for these little cupcake liner pockets that I'm making. So I'm just getting out my distress ink and my blending brush. A lot of people use makeup brushes for this. I've had these blending brushes for some years, so they are serving me pretty well. I wash them every now and again, but not too often. I have several, and I color code them. You know, I always use a blue of some sort with this one, with that washi there reminding me not to cross-contaminate the colors. I've got a couple of brown ones. I've got a green one. I've got a few smaller ones. I have kind of a pinkish one, and it helps keep the colors straight. But this one, since there was lots of sort of, you know, bright, cheery birthday confetti kinds of colors in those cupcake liners, I thought, let's do a little bit of blue on this. And I kind of like these pinwheels that look sort of party-like. And the stencil only goes part way down, so I'm going to realign it here and just come the rest of the way down. There we go. Yeah, it was a cute idea. You know, you would think, being a grandma and an active grandma who has her grandson over a lot, you would think that I would make a lot of cupcakes, but you know, my cupcake game is not really good. For Barney's birthday and you know, other special times, I make layer cakes. I make, you know, sheet pan cakes, but not a big cupcake kind of or muffin kind of gal. Definitely enjoy eating a good cupcake if one comes my way, but I don't make a whole lot of them. So this little package of papers, I think I've had around for years. I might as well be using them for a craft project, right? Okay, this is going to be the background for our little pockets. This is going to be a quick and easy project. So I'm going to pull out two. There's one, and they stick together pretty well. I like doilies. I was using doilies the other day, and boy, they came in glued together stacks. Not glued, but just sort of pressed together stacks. And then I'm just going to open up the cupcake paper. And what I liked about this, with the little pocket, or the little envelope that that Connie sent me a picture of, you know, you see all this ripply, you know, this ripply crimped paper there, and you know it's a cupcake paper. It's easily identifiable, and I think that's a really charming feature in a junk journal. All right, I am going to stack these two together because I want the folds in these to be the same way. And again, these are going to be I want them to be all going the same way. I think maybe I'd be better doing one at a time though, and I'll show you how I'm going to layer them up. I'm going to fold one in this way, and I'm not measuring or anything. I'm just kind of coming in on the side. Now I'm not going to measure the other one either, but I am going to eyeball it to make certain that I have pretty similar folds on either side. And my grid on my craft mat helps me to make certain that I'm lining those folds up on parallel lines. Does that look like it's, maybe I'll bring it in just a little bit more. I think I'm going back to where I was earlier. I think I second-guessed myself a little bit too much. Now, so I'm coming in on either side, and then I'm going to come up from the bottom. And I'm getting that pretty printed paper showing, and this is going to be the bottom part of our pocket. I have done this this fold many times using coffee filters, larger coffee filters. Makes a really, really nice pocket. Now, because I want to do two of these, I'm going to pull the other one. Maybe I'll put the unfolded one on top. I guess that would make sense. And then I'm going to refold that top one, or that the one that I already did. Go back to the fold that I've already done. And that way the other one is going to have the fold in pretty much the same spot. Again, we're not building Swiss watches here, so we don't have to worry about getting 100% accuracy. Kind of finding that fold with my fingernails and tucking it inside where that original fold was. Hope this is making sense. You can also just eyeball it, which is perfectly fine. To me, when I first started working with these, it looked, again, because I'd never really worked with cupcake liners before. Where was my original fold? Well, I'll just do them together. Yeah, there we go. It looked a little weird seeing the inside of these cupcake papers without all the gummy cake stuff stuck to it. So I kind of had to readjust my thinking, but I think they're going to look really cute on a page. There we go. There's two that are pretty closely aligned. I am going to be doing inking, but because I don't want this to be grungy, again, I associate it with food, so I don't want it looking grungy and disgusting. I'm going to color the edges, but I'm going to use a dark pink to do that. Forget what I was just getting ready to tell you. It will come to me. There we go. Now, if I were going to do what Connie sent me, I'm going to glue this shut, but I can also pull this down and make like a little envelope. And that would be a really cute little thing to stick into Happy Mail. You could, just put a little paper clip or something on it and have a really sweet little envelope. But the first thing we're going to do, because we want these edges to have some treatment on it to really pop on the page, I'm going to do some inking. I don't have a dauber for this. This is Victorian Velvet. All I have is this small, this little small Distress Ink cube, but I pulled one of my fresh ink dauber tops, and I'm just going to use that. And I just kind of felt like I didn't want to have grungy, you know, brown on the edges of this pastel piece. I don't do a lot of inking with colors other than brown, so this is something sort of new for me as well. But I thought it would make a kind of a sweet looking edge. And again, I did do a little bit of practicing with it, so I'm not totally fumbling my way through my demo for you. I don't think of these things as tutorials. I mean, this is, you know, nothing, again, not rocket science at all. But it's just a little demonstration of how you can do these. Not teaching anything difficult. There, that's going to be cute. I'll do the edges after I've glued everything down. But I think, let's look here. I think I would like to maybe do a little inking of the inside of this liner as well. So let me bring in a background page and another blending brush. This is one that has sort of pink on it. And I'm just going to lightly do the inside of this. It's not going to be a real strong pink, but it's just going to make it not quite so glaringly white. I'll do that for the other one as well. A fair amount of repetition here, so there we go. Can you believe we're almost done with the letter of the week? We have a few more left. I've really been enjoying it, and because it's something we didn't take it in, take our letters in order, I hope it's something you can go back and look at the playlist and enjoy some of those earlier projects. I have a few favorites. I will tell you, I loved where we used yogurt. I'm just going to do a little gluing here. We used yogurt lids to make some embellishments for our junk journals, and I just really liked that, and I think I've used all of them that I made that week. Just getting in with my art glitter glue, and I am using art glitter glue even though this is a really thin paper because there's a tiny bit of coating, you know, since this is a food safe product. There's a little bit of coating on there, but the pocket goes all the way from edge to edge and down the bottom. So be careful when you're gluing that you just glue these layers of paper together so everything is on the front portion of your little pocket. Any edges I want to ink? There we go. Now I'll just go ahead and do the other one. There we go. So yeah, so I loved doing the Y. Another one, and my dear sister Karen, who was the letter K, by the way, one of her favorites was the L for lyrics. That was one of the first ones that I did. And it was fun to just think about how we could use our junk journals to write down lyrics that are special to us. You know, they could be lyrics from pop songs. They could be, you know, words from special hymns in your life. They could be, you know, just any kind of lyric. We almost all have those in our lives, in our memories. And I liked L for lyrics. I thought that was fun. I need to go back and perhaps make another journal with some lyrics in it. What else? Another one I enjoyed was V for vegetables. I did some watercolor vegetables, and they were whimsical vegetables. And I love any kind of anthropomorphized creature or something from nature. I love, you know, the vegetables that had, you know, the little eyes and the eyebrows and the kind of funny smiles and all that. So I enjoyed those. But, you know, I've loved all of them. I love J for jars. That was fun. We did our little journal cards that were shaped like jars, mason jars. And it has been fun. I talk about it like I'm bidding it a fond farewell. it's not over yet, but I've enjoyed the letter of the week, and it's given me a good jump start for you know, a few times when I haven't felt very creative. Using that letter of the week made me think of things I wouldn't normally do creatively, and it's, you know, they're just always great things that you can do for junk journals. I'm going to do a little bit of gluing here. I'll show this a little more carefully. Gluing this part together because it ends up being on the front face of the pocket, if that makes sense. And I'm going to glue on this flap because it too is adhering to the back of the front of the pocket. So I'm not gluing any of my pocket real estate shut there. Let me get just a few more edges and then we'll get them down on the page and see how they look. I hope this will work okay. Not certain exactly how I'm going to work this into a journal, but I thought I would just go ahead and create a signature page. It'll be ready to stitch in and it'll already have some kind of fun pocket stuff on it. So here's our little page, and I measured this out. I thought this should, yeah, 2 of them. That makes a nice set. I could line them up like that, or I could make them sort of jaunty, tilt one way and one the other way. And I think with these pinwheels in the background, I think I need to give them a tilt. So I'm going to do the bottom one first. Using my art glitter glue because just a little bit goes a long way. And I'm going to tilt that this way. Not a strong tilt, just a little bit. And that crinkliness is going to want to bunch up a little bit, but you can just smooth that down. But you know, you want to have a little bit of that notion of the crinkliness showing, and it still creates a bit of a texture there. So, you know, people will look at this and they're going to know this is a cupcake liner. We're not trying to obscure that fact. We can celebrate it for what it is. This is one thing where we don't use used cupcake liners. I don't think we could ever get all of those gummy cake bits off the back. So let's not take things too extreme. If you want to, I salute you, but this one tilting the other way. And there's our little cupcake pockets. I think they're so cute. I really like these, and they're going to want to curl up just a little bit, and I didn't get the glue all the way to the edge, all the way around. I think those could be super cute. I could decorate the front of them with a little something. I hadn't thought a whole lot ahead of time about doing that, but let's put something in those pockets first. What do you think? I pulled out some of my little small things. Here's a little envelope that could tuck in there. That picks up some of that blue. Here's a little, what's this? This is a couple of cards. I should actually sew some pages into this little booklet, but I had it here. These are a couple of playing cards, and that looks kind of nice. Those are a good size. That's actually sticking up the top there a little bit, so maybe this would be better here. Yeah, it's almost coming out the top, but that's really all right. I don't mind at all things coming up above the top of the page. And then I had a couple of these in my tiny tuck-ins. Bin, those little cupcakes. So that might be cute to have little cupcakes in there. What do we think of that? Do we want to put, I thought I had a couple of little bows in here. I got these out of my sewing cabinet. I think I've had these little things for years and years. I've used them on baby things before, but I could put I could glue those together. I think maybe maybe I'm just going to put one thing in there, and I'll have two down here. And I don't know why I'm thinking that, but that just somehow seems the way to go. Well, you know what? I've got these little satin bows. Let's go ahead and use them. I've made those like if I'm, had to make, some really special little boys' booties over the years. I haven't done that in ages, but I've sewed them on, some little babies, christening outfits or things like that that I've made over the years. I'm just using, because this little satin bow is a textile, I'm using my Fabri-Tac, my 3-in-1 glue on this, because that's what holds, in my experience, is best for holding fabric or a textile material onto paper or onto something else. There are our little cupcake liners. Those are sweet, aren't they? And if you're paging through a journal, you would just sort of, oh, cupcakes, then you'd want to pull those little things out and see what kinds of notes you could write to yourself. I think they're sweet. I'm really happy with that. So that's the letter C for cupcake, with a nod to my lovely friend Connie. And we're going to call that one complete. Let's draw and see what our letter's going to be next week. I'll record our cupcake. Let me see, this is going to be 21. Cupcake paper. Wow, we only have a few left. Okay, I'm really excited to see what the next one is going to be. This has been totally random, but there's only a few left. So, what do we have here? Oh, wow. It's so funny that we haven't chosen A or Z yet. And it's looking more and more likely like those are going to be at the end, because in the meantime, we have to do I. I haven't thought much about I. Gonna have to give that some thought. In the meantime, get out those cupcake papers and see if you can make yourself some really cute little pockets for your junk journal and make some cute, sweet things to stick in them. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you soon.